We are patient in tribulation. Again at verse 12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation. Patience is not a virtue in our microwave society, is it? And even us, we don't like it. We don't like to wait. Well, why not? Because at the end of the day, we're selfish, right? We want our own little kingdoms and queendoms. We want restaurants that only wait on us. We want drive-thrus that only exist for our car. We want customer service that is exclusively concerned with our present need. We want nice new highways, zero traffic. We want no potholes. We want no other cars. We want our stuff 2 days after we push the order button. Forget waiting in line, man. I'm just going to do mobile order. I'm going to walk past all you suckers. We want it right away. We want it our way. That's who we are. But we're called to be patient. And Christians are patient because Christians have the Spirit. And the Spirit produces patience. The fruit of the Spirit is patience. He works in us and He makes us a more patient people. And we can be patient in tribulation. When things are going terribly, we as believers have the resources to be patient through it. Why? How? Because of the Christian worldview, because of the truth, what God's Word tells us. I want to mention just 4 doctrines that help us be patient in tribulation. Number 1, eschatology, the study of the end times, the last things. See, as Christians, we have the long view, right? Hope and patience go together. Just like we can rejoice in hope, we can be patient in tribulation because we know the end of the story. The story doesn't end. We know where history's headed. God has a plan, and as we just saw in Romans 8, it ends with God coming and making all things right. He will remove the curse. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Today may be rough, but tomorrow is around the corner. And on the scale of eternity, we've got to remind ourselves, today, even our entire life is just a blip on the radar. So eschatology helps us. Number 2, the doctrine of providence. Our God is sovereign. He is in control. He is the one who ordains the end from the beginning. Ephesians 1:11, God is working all things according to the counsel of His will. Nothing comes our way without the kind and wise permission of our God. We know God's on the throne, so we can be patient. We can endure. You ever think about the fact that when we whine and when we complain, we're really denying the doctrine of providence? When we complain about circumstances, we're complaining about providence. We're really saying we know better than God. When we complain and whine and bellyache, what we're saying is, God, move over. Make room for me on that throne. Clearly, you don't know what you're doing. Let me speed things along for you. No, friends. We are patient because we believe in a sovereign God, providence. The 3rd doctrine that helps us is theology proper. That is the study of God. Who is He? What's His nature? Well, He's good. We know that. He's revealed Himself through His acts. He's told us about His nature. He's shown Himself most fully in the cross. We can trust Him. He loves us. He is good. He is wise. And then 4th, the doctrine of sanctification, the process of us being changed, of us being made holy. In that banner verse, I hope you know Romans 8:28 and 29, we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to His purpose. For those whom He foreknew, He also predestined, here it is, to be conformed to the image of His Son. God's at work, providentially working out all things. What's the end goal for His people? Those called, those who love Him, that we would be conformed to Jesus. And so we can be patient in tribulation because we know that whatever's our way, whatever tribulation is, God has good purposes. What is the good? To make us holy. Make us like Jesus. It's just what we saw in Romans chapter 5. We can rejoice in our sufferings. Why? Because suffering produces endurance, and endurance character, and character hope. And James agrees, chapter 1, verse 2, count it joy when you meet trials because they test our faith and they produce steadfastness. It strengthens us. Peter agrees, 1 Peter 1, we're grieved by various trials so that our faith may be tested and shown to be genuine. Though we don't like it, biblically, there's just no getting around the fact that the secret sauce of sanctification is suffering. So don't waste your pandemic, church. What is God showing you? What weaknesses is He showing in your character? And then are you getting to work on them? You should be a more patient person after this is all said and done. So 4 doctrines, more could be said, that help us be patient in tribulation. What we're doing here is Romans chapter 12, verse 1, right? We are renewing our mind. We are being transformed. These truths, many more, they help us to be patient in tribulation. Again, we have a witnessing opportunity. I mean, what does a non-believer do with trials? There really is no silver lining for them. There's no purpose. There's no end goal out of it. It's just, they are just pure hindrance, right? Just chance. Chance, random. It just went bad for you. You just drew the short straw of the impersonal universe. Well, Christians are entirely different on how we can handle tribulations. Christians can wait well. We can be patient in tribulation. And man, this is such a good word for us currently, isn't it? This is a word from God for us. Be patient in tribulation. This too shall soon pass. Don't go crazy. People acting like it's the end of the world. But listen, even if it were the end of the world, how should we act? God has a word for us. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7. The end of all things is at hand. How shall we act? Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. The end of all things is at hand. How should we act? Well, with self-control and prayer, loving one another, showing hospitality, using our gifts to build up the church. Kind of sounds like Romans 12, doesn't it?